Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It has been months and I apologize for those of you that were keeping track of the videos and the releases. I am so sorry, life took an interesting turn. Everything is good. Time to get back to the videos. Today's topic is something that comes up all the time, right? It's the lie that photographers are fed and the lie that many of us end up believing at least some of the time. Let's get into this video so we can analyze the lie, who's telling us this lie, and all the little things around this lie that we need to clear from our heads so we can move on and continue to grow as photographers. Before we get into this video, I would like to send a little shout out to a person I just met not too long ago, a wonderful person. He's in Bangor, Maine, and his name is Orlando from Frati Jewelers, or O. Frati Pawn Shop, established in 1914. Can you believe that? So I was hanging out there in Maine, shooting some pictures, and I met Orlando at the pawn shop. He's the owner of the pawn shop, and he knows so much about Leica gear. He turned me on to the to a lens, a Leica lens that I'm now looking at that I feel like I need to own. And it's a $5,000 lens used, Noctilux 0.95, f.95, which you call it the f1 lens. So anyway, if you're ever in Bangor, Maine, or ever anywhere in Maine, make it to the Frati Pawn Shop, F-R-A-T-I, and meet Orlando. He's a wonderful guy. If you want to talk Leica, that's the man you want to talk to. So I want to tell you that. So I wrote down a couple of things that are not even related to the lie that we're going to talk about today, but there are so many lies, and the ones I'm going to mention here are a few, I should say, but that don't really discuss the main lie that we're going to talk about here. But just to let you know that there are there's more than one lie basically, right? And here are a few. And you're going to think of a few more, I am sure. Feel free to put them in the comments because you've probably lived a few yourself, right? And I'm talking about regarding photography, not relationships, not jobs, not all this other stuff in life. Photography, okay? So one of them is size matters. Now, I'll let you decide what that means for you. I'm talking about sensors and megapixels, but take it wherever you want to take it, right? Lenses, whatever, right? So one of them is size matters. Excuse me, I have this little cough. So that's one lie, right? That we're going to hear all the time in photography. The other one is full frame is better. When I hear that, the first question is better than what, right? Better than medium format digital? If we're talking about digital cameras. Maybe if you're talking about speed and focusing speed and all that stuff. But if you're talking about megapixels and sharpness and all this other stuff, well, probably not. If you're talking about archival power and all these other things, probably not. So is it better than crop sensors or micro four thirds? Well, if you're talking about size and portability, probably not. So there's a lot to talk about here, right? But that's one we hear all the time, full frame. And people will go out of their way to buy full frame cameras, not knowing really why they're buying a full frame camera. The other lie is that you should stick to the same brand of lenses as the camera. So if you have a Canon, buy Canon lenses because they're going to work better. If you have a Nikon, depending where you are, right? Buy Nikon glass because it's going to work better with your camera. That is, you can scrap that, right? It's no longer, if it was ever something to consider, it's no longer anything to consider, right? Sigma is making phenomenal glass. It's making better glass than some of the major companies right now. So if you want to pay half of the price and you want to get just as good glass, consider Sigma. And then there's all this Chinese glass, Viltrox, TT Artisans, 7 Artisans, just to name a few, Laowa. These companies are coming up. Now they're making autofocus lenses. Their glass is getting better and better and better. Some of it is mimicking old Leica glass, and I'm not saying it's there, but they're starting to go in that direction, which is very impressive. And this other lie that comes around every once in a while is that new gear has a really cool smell, right? Now, don't believe that one. It's not true. So, all kidding aside, right? These are some lies that we've all heard, or maybe at times, and like I said, there are a few others, right? But what is the major lie? The biggest lie, the mother of all lies, is that you need to buy the latest gear in order to be the best you, or be the best photographer that you can be. That is a huge lie. Now, before we get into the details of this lie, let's ask ourselves, who is interested in lying to us about this? Well, it's going to be mostly the people interested in selling us new gear, right? So it's not only Sony and Nikon and Canon and Fujifilm and Hasselblad and blah, 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 Olympus, right? Leica. It's anybody that represents them, right? If you follow somebody online because you have, say, a Canon or a Nikon, and you follow somebody that has the same camera you have, the same brand, because you like their lens reviews, that's totally cool, right? If I have a Canon, right? I have a Canon right here. If I have a Canon and I need to buy glass for this thing, I'm going to follow a dude or a dudette that has, you know, a Canon that's doing all kinds of reviews for the Canon and putting different lenses on it because I want to know what's good and what's not, right? Makes perfect sense, right? But many of these people are paid by Canon and paid by Nikon and paid by Sony and paid by Fujifilm. And the more they push you towards the brand, the more they collect, right? And they have links on their sites and you can go. Now, I'm an affiliate. So when I do a review, if I do a review of this Kindle Scribe pen, for example, I don't get paid by the company, by Kindle Scribe, by Amazon. I don't get paid by anybody. I'm going to do an honest review. If I think this thing sucks, I'm going to tell you because, you know, I want you to keep following me. I don't want to lie to you. So if I think this thing sucks, I'm going to tell you, hey, this thing sucks. Don't buy it, right? I'm glad I bought it and did the review because then I avoided you from having to do that. But if it's really good, I'm going to tell you, wow, this is phenomenal. This write's so cool. And I'm going to give you the link. And then when you buy it, I'm going to get 2% or something like that, right? You don't pay any more than you normally would, but I get a little cut for recommending you, right? So I am an affiliate, but I do honest reviews, right? So let's continue talking about this topic. We've gotten the lies out of the way, who would lie to us and why. So let's get into the details of the lie. So why is this lie so dangerous? Because many people actually do believe that they need to buy new gear in order to be good, right? And there are a bunch of problems with that statement. I've been shooting, for example, film. I shot film for about 20 years. And film slows you down quite a bit. Now, there's different types of film. There's these little point-and-shoot film cameras, right? Which are fantastic. You point, shoot, and it does everything automatic. There's a reason for owning this, right? Because you want the vintage look and you don't want to do a lot of thinking. But then there's this type of film camera where you're going to have to do some settings. I hope it's focusing, right? Canon F1. You're going to have to do some, setting adjustments and put the film that you need in there and blah, 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 right? That's going to slow you down. It's going to make you think. It's going to make you a more conscious photographer. So there's a reason for having that. And you still want to shoot film because it's the ultimate slowness. You don't have a screen in the back that's showing you what you're getting. You have to wait till you get the pictures developed, right? That's a big gamble, but at the same time, those cameras didn't have 80 pages of menus. To me, that's a simpler camera than, for example, this DSLR, this Canon 5D Mark III, right? And this Canon 5D Mark III is a simpler camera than my Fujifilm GFX 100S, which has 80 pages of menus. This one probably has 30 pages of menus, and this one has no pages of menus because it doesn't have any menus, right? So I have less things to adjust. So, excuse me. So why is all this important? Because the first thing you have to think about is you're not going to learn much from shooting one of these little point and shoots, right? It's basically you point and shoot. But when you buy a camera like this, like a film camera, or you buy a DSLR, which is very rudimentary, one of the first DSLRs that came out. So this is a 5D Mark III Canon, but if you look at the original 5D, or you look at, for example, a Nikon D700, which I also have, they're very basic. The menus are very basic. So you had to really understand photography because there wasn't much to adjust and alter and program and play with, right? As cameras have progressed, they've given you more options. And I don't have one of my mirrorless cameras here. Just didn't bring it down, I forgot. But mirrorless cameras make it easier because what you see is what you get, right? Here, when I look through this, I'm looking through the lens, right? It's actual glass that looks through the lens. So I see a beautiful, 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 for example, landscape. But when I shoot the picture, I may get something totally different because the camera's not adjusted properly. Well, with mirrorless cameras, what I see is what I'm going to get. So if it's too dark, it's going to show me it's too dark, right? And I have to adjust it. Before I take the picture, I can adjust everything and make it perfect. This one, everything looks perfect when I look through here, and I may get a totally different picture, right? So I really have to know what I'm doing with the DSLR. I really have to know what I'm doing with the film camera. With a mirrorless camera, I don't have to know as much. But I will tell you, it's more confusing because you have 80 pages of menus. The camera has buttons all over the place that you can assign different features to. This DSLR, I can't assign the buttons that it has are the buttons that it has. That's what they do. On my mirrorless cameras, every button can be reassigned something else. So even though it has a name on it, I can make it something else that's more important to me. And I'm going to have to remember what it does because the name can't be changed. Later, that's going to be something that I hope comes along with cameras where maybe there's a little window instead of something written on the camera, and when you assign it something else, it'll tell you a different thing, right? But right now, it is what it is, right? But my point, before my battery dies here, is just to let you know that you can buy the latest gear. You can spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 up from there, right north of there, and you're going to get great shots. But it doesn't mean that you know what you're doing, right? There's a lot of luck involved, and then there's a lot of automation that you can do in a camera. Put things in priority modes and in automatic. So there's no thinking that needs to go into this, right? My thought is, it is a lie that you have to buy the latest gear. I've done a video that I haven't released yet. I'm about to release it. Maybe by the time you see this one, that one will be out because I have to finish taking the pictures of the model. But it's with a 20-year-old DSLR, right? You can get it now for $240. And I'm doing a whole photo shoot of this model. And I want to show you how beautiful these pictures can be with a 20-year-old $250 used camera, which used to cost $3,200 when it was new. And I paid for that, the $3,200. Now you can go out and buy it for $240. Put a nice lens on it, and you can even rent the lens. And then you can go do an amazing photo shoot, right? You don't need the latest $3,000 camera. So does it help to have the latest $3,000 camera? Yes, of course. If you're going to do fast-paced photography, sports, if you're going to do weddings for a living, it'll make things easier. But you're going to have to understand those 80 pages of menus to get what the camera was built for, to get your money's worth, right? To start out, I recommend you don't have to start with film. It would be nice if you did, but you don't have to start with film. Start with a simple DSLR camera, right? A Nikon D700, a Canon 5D. The 5D is called the Classic. The D700 is called the Legend. They have those names for a reason. People are still buying them, right? So get yourself a basic camera. Don't spend a lot of money, and you're going to take beautiful pictures once you understand photography. Now, once you understand photography, you can go back to film. You can get one of these little automatic jobs. You can get a fancy mirrorless camera, spend your $4,000, and you're going to know what to do with the camera. And then you peek into the menus and you can program the buttons and you can do all the other stuff because you already understand the basics. But the main video here, I don't want to make it too long. I wanted to make something short and sweet. In case you have swallowed that pill that I have sometimes swallowed, because I've gone out to buy a new camera hoping that maybe something will change. And then I realize, what am I going to change? I haven't changed anything in me. I haven't changed my skills. I haven't learned anything new. Why would my photography change when these cameras do phenomenal work? When this camera came out in 2013, I think, the 5D Mark III, excuse me, I shot, 50 weddings with this thing, and it was phenomenal. Why wouldn't it be phenomenal today? Of course it is. Now, because we start comparing it with the things that digital mirrorless cameras do, we start to say, oh, it has drawbacks. It doesn't do things as quickly and it doesn't do things as sharply. Dynamic range is not as high. Okay, yeah, I get it. Megapixels are lower, right? Low noise performance is not as good. Yeah, I get it. But it was really, really good for the time. I could still make the most out of a camera like that. And I still use it. Many of the pictures that I post on Instagram, and I posted in my pictures in poems and books, of airplanes at high speed, right? The Blue Angels are shot with this DSLR. So you can still take phenomenal pictures, right? So don't always be so quick to swallow that pill. I have friends that have, not so much using film cameras, but old DSLRs and you know who you are, that go to New York to do street photography with a DSLR, with a 24 to 120 f4 lens, right? It doesn't have a flippy screen, and it does a phenomenal job, right? These are Nikon, that's a Nikon, I think the 850, right? Like 45 megapixels, a beast, right? And my brother, for example, he has an R5. He's done street photography with a Canon R5, right? My point is, you can step outside the box and you can do all kinds of things. Just because you have a particular camera that's better for one niche of photography doesn't mean you can't use it for other things, right? Keep that in mind. You don't have to run out and buy a camera just because it's a better street photography camera. You can do with what you have for now. Get comfortable with it, get good with it, and then treat yourself to the camera you want, right? If you're doing portraits, for example, on the side, and you have a really nice DSLR from 10 years back, and it's doing beautiful work, yeah, of course you can buy a new digital mirrorless camera. Treat yourself to it if you can. But learn how to use the DSLR first. Master it. Get good with the lenses that you have, and get good with the concepts of photography. And then when you move into a new camera, it won't be as overwhelming because you're going to have so many more buttons and menus to look at that you'll have the photography stuff ironed out in your mind, and all the other stuff just falls into place, okay? So I'm using those examples because there are people out there that understand this concept of not having to buy the latest stuff all the time, and they make do with what they have, right? So get out there. The important thing is that you shoot. If you have the money, if you want to treat yourself to a new toy, I would never say, shame on you. Why, right? If you have the money to buy a new camera, you want to go play, I do it all the time, right? It's my hobby. I'm not hurting anybody. I go and I get a new toy. My brother gave me a Fujifilm X100VI. I am so happy. I love using this camera. I take it everywhere with me. Why not, right? Treat yourself. But don't do it for the wrong reason. Don't do it because you expect to get better photography. That's the pill that they want you to eat so that you can go buy a $4,000 camera. You don't have to, right? If you want to, it's okay, but you don't have to, right? Just keep that in mind. That is the premise of this video, right? Keep your head screwed on straight. Buy the stuff that you like if you want it, but always realize that you can do phenomenal work with a basic camera. I have lenses that I'm buying from the 1980s for my medium format film cameras that I'm putting onto my GFX 100S, my Fujifilm medium format digital camera, and they work phenomenal. Does Fuji make better glass? Yeah, it's autofocus, it's sharper, but these old lenses are manual focus. They're a little less sharp, which is okay for portraits, right? And even for some landscapes, and the pictures are different. They are different. Whatever you want to call it, you want the cliche words like filmic, film-like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's the whole thing going around now. I don't care why they're different. They're just different. And when I take pictures with old lenses on these new cameras, the pictures look phenomenal. So that's another thing you can do. You can buy a new mirrorless camera if you like, and then you have the world of lenses that you can put on it with adapters. They make adapters for any brand to go on any camera. So if you buy a Sony little digital mirrorless camera, you buy an adapter and you can buy Canon lenses, old Canon manual focus lenses, old Nikon manual focus lenses, old Pentax manual focus lenses, and the list just goes on and on and on. So keep an open mind, realize that you don't have to spend a lot of money unless you want to. Don't buy new gear expecting it to make you better. It's not. If you haven't mastered the fundamentals of photography, you're going to struggle even more when you get these digital mirrorless cameras because there are 80 pages of menus on the camera, right? If you can't manage 10 pages of menus, right, like this camera does, and basic setups, when you get a camera that has 80 freaking pages of menus, it's going to be that much more complicated. You're going to put it away and you're not going to use it, right? You're more likely to use something like this, which is simple. And I love this camera, right? And I love film cameras for that reason, because I only adjust ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, and that is it. There's nothing else, right? And I go and I have a great day. And those are the three things, but I have to think. I have to adjust, I have to think, maybe use a light meter, right? So anyway, love you guys. I hope this was helpful just in adjusting the mind, click, so you don't go out and blow all this money. If you have a lot of money, buy me a coffee. You can go in the link and buy me a coffee, and it goes a long way. It helps me rent little things like this that I can buy and do reviews on for you. I have some reviews coming. I have some other surprises. if you go and look for my website in the description, give me your email and I'm going to do a raffle. And then we can raffle some pictures that I'm going to start printing on my Pro Epson printer and framing. So putting them in a mat, and I'm going to start sending them out to you guys. So love you from the bottom of my heart. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, and please take care of yourselves so that you can keep coming back. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.